Okay, let's go the other way this time, and we're going to take a look at the most simple possible example of child-to-parent communication I could possibly think of, which is to output the result of clicking on this cancel button, so that when we do click it, instead of just outputting something to the console, the cancel button is available inside our register component, and we want that result to go up into our parent component. So let's take a look at how we do this. So for parent-to-child communication, we use an input property, and going the other way, of course, it's going to be an output property. So let's do that. And once again, we've got two options now. And I'm going to show the old way of doing it first, because you're still going to see plenty of older Angular code. And when I say old, I mean literally before 17.3 or 17.1. It's new at the time of recording in May 2024, but the old way of doing this, let's do this way first. And we'll add an output with an output decorator, and we'll add parentheses, and I'm just going to call this output property cancel register. That's going to be its function. It's simply going to cancel the register mode in the parent component because we are currently operating in the child component. And I'm going to set this equal to a new event emitter because we need to emit an event from the child component. And then inside the cancel, I can say list.cancel register, and I can emit an event from this. And because we're emitting something, what I'm going to emit is the value. So I'm going to emit false from this emitter. So there is really four parts to this. There's the output property, there's the emitter, and then we need to do things from the parent component point of view. So inside the home component template, let's just move this down. Inside our register component or our app register, then input properties, we receive stuff in square brackets and we output stuff using parentheses. And we're going to call cancel register, as that is the name of the function inside our register component, or the property inside our register component. This is what we're calling. So inside the home component HTML, we're going to call cancel register, and then this calls a function inside our home component's component, and I'm going to call it cancel register mode, and we pass this the event, and the events we specify with a dollar and say $event, and we need to create this function inside the parent component. So inside the home component, that's just below the register toggle, I'm just going to say cancel register mode. And this is going to take the event, which is a type of Boolean, and then we can say this.register mode is equal to event, which is effectively false. Now this is just a convoluted example of how to use an output property. It's not really the way that I would probably go about adding this kind of functionality, but it is a visual example of how this stuff works. So effectively, from our register component, we've got an output property that's going to do something when we click on a button inside our child component, and we're effectively emitting false. And then inside our parent component, inside the app register, then we output what we're doing here and calling a function inside our parent component, the cancel register mode. Now, the result of this is not going to blow your socks off, because what we should find now that we have that functionality is when I click on the register button and then click on the cancel button, I cancel the register mode and we go back to seeing our home page. So not a great deal of functionality for what we did there, but it is doing its job. We're outputting something from our child component to our parent component. Now I did mention there's a newer, more modern way of doing this, and let's refactor our code to utilize that new modern way of doing something. And inside our register component, instead of using this output decorator and creating a new event emitter, then we can remove the outputs with the output decorator, we can remove the new event emitter code, and we can just use output, which we get from Angular Core, and that's it, really. But we can also give it a type, and we could say that we're going to output a Boolean. And notice that the typing here is more effective than what we had before, as I'm not allowed to get away with emitting a value of false if I haven't specified the type of thing in the output function here. So we're emitting a Boolean, so we need to specify the type of Boolean. And we don't need to create a new event emitter either. So that's it really, there isn't much else to it. And we can then remove the unused imports, and we can stick with this new approach to using this as well. Does it work? That's the important question. And if I go back to the browser, I click register, and then I click cancel, well, everything else stays the same. The code doesn't change much. We're just using the output function here instead of using the output decorator and then creating a new emitter. And the improvements is, well, it's simpler, and it's a more consistent API aligned with the new signal inputs. And it gives us better type safety than we had before. So this is the approach we'll use when using an output property in the course, and we will not use the decorator approach. So our next task is to actually do something when we do register, and we'll take a look at that next.